Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Reading from the Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Chapter 4, text number 2. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarasaya vidu sakalaniha mahata yoganashta panantapa evam thus parampara disciplic succession praptam received imam this science rajarashaya the saintly kings vidu understood saha that knowledge kalena in the course of time iya in this world mahata by great yoga the science of one's relationship with the Supreme nashta scattered parantapa O Arjuna subduer of the enemies. Translation: this supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. It is clearly stated that the Gita was especially meant for the saintly kings because they were to execute its purpose in ruling over the citizens. Certainly, Bhagavad Gita was never meant for the demonic persons who would dissipate its value for no one's benefit and would devise all types of interpretations according to personal whims. As soon as the original purpose was scattered by the motives of the unscrupulous commentators, there arose the need to re-establish the disciplic succession. 5,000 years ago, it was detected by the Lord Himself that the disciplic succession was broken. And therefore He declared that the purpose of the Gita appeared to be lost. In the same way, at the present moment also, there are so many editions of the Gita, especially in English. But almost all of them are not according to authorized disciplic succession. There are innumerable interpretations rendered by different mundane scholars, but almost all of them do not accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, although they make a good business on the words of Sri Krishna. This spirit is demonic because demons do not believe in God, but simply enjoy the property of the Supreme. Since there is a great need of an edition of the Gita in English, as it is received by the Parampara disciplic succession system, an attempt is made herewith to fulfill this great want. Bhagavad Gita, accepted as it is a great boon to humanity. But if it is accepted as a treatise of philosophical speculations, it is simply a waste of time. Om Agyan Dirinandasya Yajana Shalakyam Chakshun Meritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, has opened my darkened eyes for the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances unto His lotus feet. Jai Srila Prabhupada. So, this is a very important shloka on the Bhagavad Gita because it explains, this whole chapter actually explains transcendental knowledge. Knowledge that has nothing to do with this material relative world. In this world, everything is relative, right? Just like we say, your relatives, you're related to your father, mother, right? So they raise you in a certain way, and sometimes, especially in teenage years, you feel a little pressured by the family. You want to break loose, you want to break all the conditions that your parents gave you. So this world is the world of limitations, and similarly our knowledge is limited, and our methodology of how to receive the knowledge is also limited. Okay, so we have the knowledge, and then we have the process of how to acquire the knowledge. Here in our Krishna consciousness movement, we accept the process. It is called Avaroha Panta. Avaroha Panta. Avaroha Panta means that I accept the knowledge from a superior source. Instead of doing research on my own, I accept the information from a superior, from a perfect authority. Avaroha Panta. The other process that we might be familiar with, or more familiar with, is the Aroha Panta. Aroha Panta is the process of acquiring knowledge through our imperfect senses, an imperfect mind. Actually, Krishna says later on in the Bhagavad Gita, Mama Ivamsu Jiva Bhuta, Jiva Loki Sanatana, Manas Sastrani Nindriyani Prakriti-stani Kharshati. These living entities, we're also living entities, are my minute parts and parcels of Krishna. My Vamshu, Jiva Bhuta, Jiva Loki Sanatana. We are eternally minute parts and parcels. This is confirmed also by the Upanishads. Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam Eko Yo Virarati Kaman. Eko Baunam Yo Virarati Kaman. I am eternal. Krishna is eternal. But the difference is that he is supremely eternal. He never loses his transcendental position. When Krishna comes into this world, only fools and rascals think that he becomes subjected by the material energy just like us. He becomes subjected by imperfection just like us. In the Bhagavad Gita it is stated, Avajananti mamuta manusim tanum ashritam param bhavam ajananta mama bhuta mama bhuta maheshwaram. Maitreya knows. Maheshwaram. Maha Ishwaram. Ishwara means controller. Maha means great controller. Supreme controller. Abhajananti mamuda. Those who think that I am manusim tanu mashritam, that I have taken shelter of the material energy that creates a human-like body, they're fools and rascals. Krishna says this. You are a fool and a rascal. Param bhavam ajananto. They do not know about my param bhavam. What is bhavam? Anybody knows? Nature, yes. Param bhavam means transcendental supreme nature. Yes. Krishna never becomes subjected by the material energy. He always remains transcendental, untouched, just like a lotus flower. When you see a lotus flower, it never touches the water. It might be positioned on the water, but it never touches the water. This is the special quality of a lotus flower. Similarly, Krishna and his pure devotees, they never contact the material elements, because Krishna is the source of all these material elements. He is the supreme controller of all these elements. So when he comes, yada yada hi dharmasya glani bhavati bhartam, when he comes to this world, he comes for two reasons. to establish the Dharma and please his devotees, and to annihilate the dushkatinas, the miscreants. So this is the difference between me and Krishna. Because I am minute, I have the propensity to misuse my free will. And that is why I come under the subjugation of the inferior, Krishna's inferior nature. But Krishna never becomes subjected by the inferior nature. Nityo nityanam chetanas chetananam. I am conscious. Without consciousness, you cannot see me, you cannot hear me, you cannot taste, you cannot do anything. Because there's consciousness in the body, that's why I can use my senses. As soon as the consciousness leaves the body, the same eye doesn't see, the same nose doesn't smell, the same tongue doesn't taste, the same ear doesn't hear. It is the consciousness which is important. So my consciousness is conscious of my bodily senses. But my consciousness, I am not conscious of your bodily senses. I cannot understand. If you feel pain, I can sympathize because I might have some previous experience of pain, but I cannot feel the pain. Similarly, you cannot feel my pain. I cannot feel your pleasure. You might be enjoying very nicely, I get nothing out of it. And vice versa. But Krishna is the supremely conscious. He rests in everyone's heart as the Paramatma. Ishvara sarva bhutanam hrdeshu arjuna tishtati. I am seated in every living entity's heart. Hrdeshu arjuna tishtati. And I direct the wanderings according to his desire, according to the living entity's desire. I direct him accordingly. So if you want to live like an animal, Krishna will send you to the animal species. Yes, go and enjoy. You don't want to discuss Bhagavad Gita, higher topics, simply want to enjoy, eat, sleep, have sex and fight. You can have that in a pig's body. Why you need this human form? And similarly, if you want to elevate your consciousness, he will send you to devotee association, Saru Sangha, Saru Sangha, Saru Sangha. It is so essential. Devotee association, transcendental association. So he is inspiring according to your desire. Yayata mam prapadyante tamstataiva bhajami aham. As they surrender unto me, Krishna says, I award them accordingly. If you don't want to surrender, Krishna will not reciprocate. If you want to surrender, ahitukya pratyata. Nothing can stop you in this world. So we must understand this. Because we're minute, eternally minute. Those who do not accept this idea that we're controlled by some higher power, forget God. God might be a little difficult to accept at the beginning, but the material energy, we're constantly being controlled by the material energy. You cannot even refuse. If the material nature says, go and use the toilet, you have to go. You have to become very obedient servant. Very obedient devotee of material nature. If you refuse, if you want to rebel, oh, very bad. It's a very bad idea. So, simply such a thing as using toilet, we're being subjected by the control of material. How can we claim that we're God? This is a very diseased idea that I am God, you are God, everyone is God. No. You are part and parcel of God. Just like the sunshine, the ray of sun is the part and parcel of the sun globe. But if I say, because there's a ray of sun in my room, that's why there's a sun globe in my room, then I'm a madman. This is insanity. We should give up such nonsense philosophies. Otherwise we cannot reach any happiness in this world or the world after. Krishna says that. If you do not accept the revealed authority of Shastra, you cannot achieve perfection in this life, or to speak of next life. So we must accept this process. Krishna, eko bhaunam yo vidarati kaman. He supplies all the necessities to all these minute souls. He supplies everything. He supplies food, sunshine, rains, everything is supplied by Krishna. You can see the arrangement of the Supreme Personality. There's an arrangement. Everyone has his own quota, his own food. The pig, he likes stool, so there's stool, he can eat stool. For a tiger, there's an antelope, he can hunt down and eat. For humans, there's Krishna Prasadam. So everyone has his quota. Krishna has arranged not just food, but everyone according to his taste. That we can understand just by observing the material nature. There is supreme consciousness. So my consciousness and Krishna's consciousness are different. I become subjected by ignorance, Krishna doesn't. So that is why this process of Avaroha Panta is superior. Our material research, our experiment will never bring us to the perfection. Actually, Krishna reserves right not to be exposed to persons who are materially motivated. What did you know that shloka? Naham Prakasha. Yeah. Naham Prakasha Sarvasya Yoga Maya Samavataha. I am covered by my illusory potency. Those who are not my devotees, I will not reveal myself to them. See, so you cannot research on your own. That has, of course, some value also, research. Just like you have to research, you have to find this place on Google Maps, right? You have to do your research. But the Google Maps you have not made, you're accepting an authority. That's an authority. Google Maps or Google, you go to the internet, it's an authority. You don't do research, you just accept blindly. Why? Because it's an established authority. But it is not as established as Krishna's authority. You see, this is called parampara, the disciplic succession. There are two types of transcendentalists, two types of schools. There are, of course, many schools, but they can be divided into two major schools. The personalists, those who accept God to be the supreme person, and the impersonalists. The impersonalists, they are governed by a great Acharya, Shankaracharya, and the personalists, they're governed by so many other Acharyas, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Vishnu Swami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and so on, so on. So, either personal or impersonal, they both accept Krishna as the supreme authority, and especially this Bhagavad Gita, because it is spoken by perfect authority. Even Shankaracharya writes in his commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, Narayana para avyaktat. Narayan, or in other words Krishna, Narayan is the expansion of Krishna, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. He is beyond this material manifestation. In other words, when this material world was created, Krishna was already there. He's not created, he's not controlled by the material energy. That's why he is transcendental authority. We want transcendental knowledge. We want to find out how to get out of this material world, how to become transcendental, how to transcend the dualities of material existence. So in order to do that, we have to approach a transcendental authority. You cannot enter fire unless you have a fiery body. If you want to enter fire with an earthly body, you're going to burn. So you must acquire this transcendental knowledge from a transcendental source. We might not be on a transcendental platform. We might have so many material desires, so many material designations, so many upadis. But if we somehow or other put ourselves into the transcendental association, by gradual association, gradual hearing, we can come to the transcendental position. Just like if you put an iron rod in a fire. By gradual heating, it becomes fiery. It becomes so fiery that you pull out an iron rod, you put it at the grass, it starts burning. So, this is our process. The disciplic succession. Those who are disciples are the future gurus. You cannot become a guru unless you become a perfect disciple. Perfect disciple. That is a guru. Just like Arjuna. Arjuna was a perfect disciple of Krishna. Why? Because he accepted everything. Everything Krishna said, Arjuna said, I accept everything. Of course, there was some conversation going on, right? Arjuna was not a blind follower. Arjuna would challenge Krishna. How do you mean like this? You said that the fruitive work has no value. Now you urge me to fight. How can I adjust this contradiction? He was asking reasonable questions. And Krishna was supplying the most sublime answers throughout the whole Bhagavad Gita. So then towards the end, Arjuna surrenders. Actually, he surrendered already. But the real surrender comes when Arjuna says that I shall do everything you have told me. I will follow all the instructions. I accept everything you said in total. I'm not picky. I'm not using the half-hand logic. There was a farmer. He had a hen, he had a chicken, and he became over-intelligent. He was thinking that, I get eggs. Eggs, I have money, and so on, so on. But the head of the chicken is eating grain. I have to, spend money unnecessarily. I have an idea. I'll chop off the head and I keep the bottom. See, then I don't have to spend unnecessarily. So this is foolishness. Why should we chop down some of Krishna's instructions? If we chop down one thing, the whole thing becomes wrong. Just like you have a mathematical equation. You change one number, the whole mathematical equation is incorrect. So this is the knowledge. Transcendental knowledge cannot be polluted by any material speculation or concoction. Everything we say here, we have received from our spiritual master here, Srila Prabhupada. We do not concoct. And if we follow strictly, then the result is there. What is the result of transcendental realization, of spiritual knowledge? What is the result? What is the symptom? One becomes free from the attachment to material sense gratification. Just like all these boys here. They have given up all unnecessary material habits. Cigarettes, ganja, LSD, illicit sex, gambling, meat eating, everything. Given up. Not so easy. Why? Because they have approached a bona fide spiritual association. So they have become purified. This is the symptom. We can test. So the methodology is here, except from the spiritual master through the disciplic succession. Just like Krishna explained the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. Arjuna then passed it down to his disciple, and so on, so on. It went from one guru to another one until our Srila Prabhupada brought the knowledge to the West. This is the methodology. Don't try to speculate. Don't try to change things. Don't try to improve. You cannot improve because you are imperfect. In conditional existence, we have 4 major defects. We commit mistakes. We have imperfect senses. We fall into illusion. And on top of it, we have a tendency to cheat. Every conditioned soul has a tendency to cheat. So it is not possible to acquire transcendental, or in other words, perfect knowledge with this kind of setup. We must approach a guru for this purpose. So this is the methodology. And we can also see the symptom, by the symptom. The symptom of a bona fide spiritual master is that he accepts Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the symptom. Just like Krishna says, Sa evayam maya tedya yoga prukta puratana bhakto sime sakacheti rahasyam hi etat utamam. He establishes, Krishna gives the qualification of a bona fide spiritual master. He tells Arjuna that very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme. See, that relationship is eternal. We never merge with God. It's eternal relationship, just like love. Real love never dies, right? There's an ideal of real love. So real love never dies. The relationship never dies. If there is no difference between me and Krishna, there is no meaning to relationship. What is the use of learning the Bhagavad Gita? This is the science of one's relationship. Yogaha. What does it mean, yoga? What is yoga? Link. So there must be two things, right? You linking one with the other. So if there is no difference between me and Krishna, there is no yoga. There is no link. The link is some illusion. So why are we learning all of this? This is the science of yoga, of relationship. Right? So that relationship is eternal. That very science, ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme, is today told by me to you. Because you are my devotee as well as my friend. This is the condition. The bona fide spiritual master must be a devotee of Krishna. He never claims that I am Krishna. Immediately we kick out such a nonsense so-called spiritual master who says I am Krishna. No, you're not Krishna. You must prove yourself. Krishna has proven himself. He has 16,000 wives. For each wife he made a palace bedecked with jewels. Can you do that? Krishna lifted the Govardhan hill on his tiny little finger at the age of 7. Can you do it? Krishna exhibited the universal form. Can you do it? No, you're simply talking. And furthermore, all the incarnations of Krishna are stated in the Shastra. We fixed in the Shastra. Shastra is no different from Krishna. It's a perfect knowledge. Aparoshya. The Shastra is called Aparoshya. It doesn't contain any of these 4 imperfections. That is up to you. You must study. But you will see if you study this Bhagavad Gita, you will hardly find any flaw. So, this is the condition. He must be a devotee and he must be in a direct relationship with Krishna. Direct relationship. Fully revived. That relationship must be fully realized. That is called Swarupa Siddhi. One has a form. It's not that the spirit becomes formless. The spirit soul at the time of liberation. The spirit soul has a form, just like now we have a form. This body, Krishna designates as a dress. We're changing our dress. Just like you change your dress, similarly you change your bodies. Every life you put on different dress, different body. So when you see the dress is made according to the shape of the body. Similarly, the material body is the shadow reflection of the spiritual body. You see? So we have a body that is called Swarupa, original body, eternal body that is Satchitananda. It is full of eternity, full of knowledge, full of bliss. And in that body, we're serving Krishna eternally in the spiritual world. So a bona fide spiritual master must fully realize his spiritual form. Only such a person can be a commentator on the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so I'll stop here. This is just a tiny little introduction. Of course, more can be said about this topic, but since we started a little later today, I'll try to keep it short. Are there any questions?
Yes, I have a question. So, how do we know that the disciplic succession has not deviated? Because I know you were explaining about the Guru, how he must be self-realized, but there might be someone who is faking that he is, he might be faking everything, that he sees Krishna, he knows everything.
Mm-hmm.
There might be some people that believe that, so how do we know?
Yes, Prabhupada says, he quotes this famous politician, Chanakya Pandit. Maybe you know him, Chanakya Pandit? No. He was a very famous prime minister, a long time ago, 1,000 years ago. Yeah, so he left behind, it's called a Chanakya Shloki, a little book where he gives practical advice on life. It's not necessary. Chanakya, yeah.
Chanakya, yeah.
No, okay.
Yes, Chanakya, yeah.
Sorry, the pronunciation.
No, that's all right. Chanakya, yeah.
Chanakya, yes. So, Chanakya Pandit says that fool is not discovered unless he speaks. Well-dressed fool is not exposed until he speaks. You see? So when you are trying to understand who is a bona fide spiritual master, which is very important, right? We should not be cheated. We should approach the real parampara, real succession. We should hear. We should not look, because the looks are deceiving. You know, someone might look very nicely spiritual, big beard. I'm not picking on you anyway. Big beard. He might have many followers on Facebook. He might be, you know, looking very beautifully. But that is irrelevant. We must hear what that person says. Does it make sense? Does it correspond to what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita? See, Srila Prabhupada, in all of his books, he very nicely presents. He gives his commentary, but at the same time, he translates every single word of the shloka. I mean, this is a different edition, but yeah, in a regular edition, you have every single word translated. So, although he's a bona fide spiritual master, he's giving you the opportunity to study and compare. He's not falsely claiming that, oh, you must accept me. He gives you an opportunity. Go and study. Study. And the choice is always yours. Right? You cannot accept the spiritual master unless you yourself decide. Right? But the presentation is given. And when he quotes, when he writes his commentary, he quotes from the previous acharyas. Narottam Das Thakur, one of our predecessors acharyas, he gives a process of Guru, Saru and Shastra. We should always compare. When the Guru says, it must correspond to what the Shastra says, the scripture. What the Shastra says must correspond to what the Guru says. What the Guru says must correspond to what the previous Guru says. Like that. So you have to compare, you have to study. But if you don't study, oh, then how can you know? See, people are very cheap. They don't want to study. They don't want to read any books. They just want some cheap process. Some gold manufacturer. You know, someone who can manufacture gold. Oh, he's spiritual. But Krishna, who has created the gold mine, Krishna's created gold mine. You don't care for Krishna. Some cheap rascal who can manufacture gold by some magical tricks. Oh, very nice. But Krishna we ignore. So we must be intelligent. If we're not intelligent, then what can be done?
You still... That was a brilliant question, honestly. That was a very brilliant question, because when you approach for a guru, right, you come from a point of not having the knowledge and choosing the right guru. How do you choose the right guru? One needs to have a knowledge to be able to choose the right guru, because as you mentioned, right, that you can fool until you open your mouth, but even if you open up your mouth, I'm not in a position to judge whether you are saying what is right or what is wrong, because you might have some knowledge, you might not have the complete knowledge. So at that point in time, I will be looking up to you, because I come from a point of no knowledge, and you're sitting at a point where you have some knowledge. But as they say, that incomplete knowledge is
worse.
Dangerous.
Yeah,
Right?
it's worse than
It's worse.
than ignorance.
So how do I choose? How do I gain that knowledge to be able to choose the right guru or not? I mean, there could be multiple ways to answer that question, but yeah, I would like to hear it. How do you go about that?
Yes. First of all, before we go to that question, we have to look at what is our motive to approach the Guru.
Yeah,
What is our motive? Why do we want to approach a Guru?
because I want to learn.
Learn what? Because there are different types of knowledge.
Yes.
You see?
Yeah.
So, first of all, we must be ready. Something that we can understand on our own is that we're not this body.
Yeah.
Your body, this is what Krishna says, but this is logical. In the past, you had a body of a small child, right? A small boy in India. Where is that body now? It's gone. You have a different body.
Yeah.
You have a completely different body. But you're still the same soul, the same observer. So from that you can understand that you are not this body. The body changes, you do not change. You are the observer. Your mind is changing, your intelligence is changing, your sense of identity is changing. But you, the person who's classifying all these phenomena happening at the same time, you remain the same. You, the soul. So, when we approach the spiritual master, we should come with the desire to gain knowledge how to get out of the material suffering, of the material entrapment in the bodily conception of life. This should be the attitude of the disciple before he accepts the spiritual master. You see, because if this is not clarified, if we still want to enjoy in this world, and we want to accept a little spiritual life, but on the other hand, we also want to have our material life, our temporary. This world is temporary. Body is temporary. Our relationships are temporary. Our love affairs are temporary. It will all go. Right? At the time of death, you can't keep anything. You're the spirit soul. You are eternal. So, if you want to still pursue the material life, and at the same time you want to have spiritual life, you're contradictory in your desires. And that's why a cheater spiritual master, a cheater, will not have a hard job with you. Because as soon as he offers you some material allurement, side by side with the spiritual life, you will fall for it. So it starts with you. Before we come to the Guru, we first of all have to be 100% sure, I don't want to take birth again. I don't want to die again. I don't want to suffer diseases. I want to get out of this material world. And with this submissive attitude, we should hear. Now, another point, okay, this is just one aspect of the question. It's a very, very essential question. This is the question. Yeah. So, another point is that, as I said, Krishna is in our heart. Krishna never forgets us. There's the Atma and there is the Paramatma. Krishna says, I supply the intelligence, memory and forgetfulness to all living entities. According to their desires, I direct them so they can fulfill their desires. And He's fulfilling our karma, He's putting us in a certain situation, like that. So, He is there. When we become sincere and we try to approach the bona fide knowledge, Krishna will make sure that we come to the right spiritual master.
Yes. In theory. The reason why I'm saying
not in theory. Not in theory. This is actually going on. This is not a theory.
What I meant to say was basically, yes, it's possible, but I'm coming from a different angle, saying that, well, for that, I need to be awakened to be able to see past through a fake guru versus the real guru. And the whole purpose, I am seeking a guru, is to be awakened so that I can... So you see what I'm saying?
Sorry, I don't follow. You said you must be awakened before you accept a guru.
Before you find that guru.
But then what is the use of the guru then?
Yeah, exactly. So that's where my question is, saying that how do I identify?
No, if you're already awakened, you don't need a guru. The disciple means why we go to the guru, because the disciple doesn't know.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
So, we have to accept that. As I mentioned before, our problem is that we don't understand that we are imperfect. That's why we go and we try to research and we speculate and so on, so on. We don't want to surrender. Right? But it's our daily experience that we accept so many gurus. Just like Guru Google, Guru Google Maps, Guru Media, Guru Father, Mother, so many gurus we accept it. It's not that we're guruless. We're not coming from a position that we're completely free and now we must submit to one guru. We're already conditioned by so many gurus. And that is also, all these gurus are supplied by Krishna according to your desire. You see? So that desire to become liberated can increase in good association. You know, when we associate with the Guru will increase that desire. Yes, we'll become more detached from material sense gratification. But we must decide. See, if you don't have the desire, let's say, okay, I don't have the desire. I'm just like curious. I'm wondering. At least we can have a desire to have the desire to be liberated. Right? Somewhere we have to make that decision. From that point, Krishna will direct us. And see, you might bump into many imperfect gurus, right, on your path. But somehow or other, you're going somewhere. You're learning something. You know, you just like this process of research. The father tells the child, don't touch the fire. Don't touch it. You're going to burn your hands. But, you know, I want to be smart. Father, he doesn't know anything. Oh, let me touch. Oh! So, if you don't accept your father as a guru, you must accept the chastising fire guru.
Yes.
But the experience is there, you know. So
I think you answered my question.
okay.
So if I were to summarize this, because one of the best point that came out for me that kind of answered the whole thing was there is guru in everything, right? Because whatever you want to learn, Google is a guru.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you are a guru because I'm learning something from you. And therefore, I could be learning from each one of you guys. And all of you guys could be guru to impart me some knowledge that I may require.
Mm-hmm.
And the purpose could be served. But the eternal guru is a different piece altogether that helps me liberate from the cycle of birth and death. That's an eternal guru. Would that be a fair summarization?
No, not exactly. You know, my point was that we have to start, first of all have to make a decision.
Yeah.
I don't want to take birth again. I have to know what is actually important in life. You have two viewpoints. The material sense gratification, let me enjoy, let me get money, let me get a woman, enjoy very nicely and then die. Who cares what's going to happen after? Let me enjoy as much as possible right now.
Yeah.
That is a foolish idea.
Agreed.
You know, if we have doubts about this, let us discuss. You know, you are permanent. You're permanent consciousness, right? All these things are impermanent. By definition, they will never make you happy, right? You want eternal pleasure. You want eternal existence, right? Eternal association. So, therefore, when I make my research, when I go and I go to this place, I read this scripture, that scripture, I should keep this in mind. If I'm not clear on this, then Krishna will send me a cheetah guru. Because that's what I want. I want to be cheated. Yeah, I want spiritual life, but you know, not now. Now I'm gonna enjoy, and then later maybe, because it's too much austerity. These guys have shaven heads and you know jumping here in bed sheets. Of course, it's not necessary that one has to become a monk. You know, one can be like Arjuna on a job, but this preliminary decision we must make. Is the priority in life liberation or sense gratification? Must be a very clear choice. So, and a bona fide guru teaches that also. You see? Like you said, eternal guru. So eternal guru must teach about eternal subject matters. He doesn't teach about how to heal the disease, how to have nice relationship, how to help the poor, how to help the sick, how to do this, this is all pertaining to the material world. He must teach about the spirit soul and our relationship with the Supreme Spirit.
But this is also important in terms of, because you're a soul and I am a soul and you're a soul as well. By me serving you and you, I am serving Krishna.
How?
Because Krishna is in all of us. So if I'm serving you, indirectly I'm serving Krishna as well. So even though it is material, so I understand learning about the eternal subject is true, we should be able to, but we are in a material world, so therefore we need to have, it's imperative that you will be connected with the material world.
Okay, let me ask
How
you.
do you go about like decoupling yourself and removing completely away from the material world and or people, relatives, mother, father, brother, sister, kids, whoever they are, and just devote everything towards the eternal source?
Okay, let us first of all discuss. If I water the branches and leaves on a tree, is the tree watered? No. See, I can water the different branches and leaves. The water will never go inside. It stays on the surface. That's not how it works. You have to water the roots of a tree. So, we are parts and parcels of Krishna. We're little branches of Krishna. They're coming from Krishna. But we're not Krishna. So, when we serve others, we're not serving Krishna. But, when we serve Krishna directly, everyone is served. Everyone is served. You can serve me, you can serve him, but that service is limited. What about the others? You serve him, but he, Pranav Prabhu, he'll be angry. Oh, why you don't serve me? He becomes jealous. That service is not perfect. Perfect service is to serve Krishna directly. Krishna is the supreme. There are three aspects of realization of the Supreme Absolute Truth. Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavan iti Shabhyati. The first aspect is the Brahman conception, the all-pervading, impersonal aspect. We're all part of that. We're all Brahman. Just like Shankaracharya says, Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman, I am God. That is true. But that is not the highest understanding. It can be compared to the sunshine of the sun. The sun is everywhere, all-pervading through sunshine. But if I ask you, is there a sun globe in your room just because there's sunshine in your room? That's not true. Right? So one and different simultaneously. So the more superior understanding is the platform of Paramatma realization. Brahman, all-pervading. Paramatma, localized. Krishna is also localized. He's in one place. The Paramatma resides in the heart region. And then the topmost realization is the Bhagavan feature. Just like you see here on the picture, this is Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The personality is the highest conception of Godhead. Because in him, there is Brahman, there is Paramatma, automatically. He's not a person like you and me. In his body, everything is included. So when you worship Krishna, you worship everyone. Just like when you water the root of a tree, automatically all the branches and leaves of the tree are nourished. You see? So, yes, we don't neglect the material body. It is important, but it is not the most important. What is the use? Like Lord Jesus Christ, he said, what is the value of gaining the whole world if you lose your eternal soul? What is the use of, maintaining the body if you neglect your spiritual life? It's like a car. You're driving a car, you put gas in a car, you take care of it, yes. But if you forget to go to your destination, simply fixing the car and putting gas in a car makes no sense. You see? So we don't say neglect the body. We're not foolish like that. Body is a very nice gift. It's a gift of Krishna. But spiritual life has nothing to do with fulfilling bodily pleasures or bodily necessities. That is going on automatically. You have to eat, you have to sleep. That is by nature. By nature, these things are natural. That is not something that we have to cultivate. Nowadays, people are so much obsessed with sex life and sex education. You have to learn about this sexual problem and sexual this and sexual that. There's Sigmund Freud. So our spiritual master, he says, why I need education? Everybody knows how to do that. Everybody knows how to do these things. You don't need extra education. The extra education should be how to give that up. How to give it up. That is real art. Not how to indulge. Right? So similarly, the bodily things are there. There's no need of special education. How to do this, how to do that, how to eat, how to sleep. Everybody knows how to do that. We're already doing that. But when you come to the Guru, you should inquire how to get out of the material conception altogether. The soul doesn't need to eat or sleep or have sex or fight. The soul is eternal, right? The soul doesn't need our service. You cannot serve the soul with some material things. The soul is eternal. It doesn't need anything material. So if we want to serve the soul, let us connect the soul to Krishna. Let us revive that eternal yoga, the relationship with Krishna. That is real service.
So I don't know if we have time. So there are philosophies, and nowadays it's one is Krishna, and there are philosophies that can say that, okay, we are all souls, and we've kind of gone through circles of life and death, and life again, and then death again, etc. And we all come back to this planet in order to experience things, and therefore we come back, we take lives, and therefore someone wants to have an experience how does living in a female body feels like, or in a previous life, or female has that desire that I want to experience how does it feel like to be in a male's body, and so on and so forth. And the number of experiences is throughout the moment, right from the point when you were conceived, not even before born, the moment when you were conceived, because you start experiencing things in the womb of your mother, until the point then when your soul leaves your body, right? You are experiencing all of those things, and therefore fulfilling your soul's purpose because you wanted to, and this is philosophies that I'm talking about. That is one part, and I know the teachings in Bhagavad Gita, etc. I'm like, yeah, those are all rubbish, etc. Philosophy's been made. If you drop all of those experiences why you came, that you wanted to have the purpose, but if you drop that purpose and you adopt Krishna, that basically means that you don't want to go through that circle of life and death. But what happens to the original purpose that you were here, that you dropped and it's unfulfilled now? What happens to that? If you know what I mean. I'm dropping all those experiences that I wanted to have, and that's why I came to this planet to experience that, but at some stage of kind of met the eternal Guru, and now I don't want to have any of those experiences. Those remains unfulfilled. Now I want to have a different experience, which is basically no more experiences.
Not exactly.
No?
Who is experiencing, first of all?
The soul.
The soul.
Yeah.
You see? It's not the body.
It's the soul.
It's the
soul
soul.
is experiencing through body, right?
Yes, yes. So you have the experiences that are impermanent, based on bodily pleasure.
Yeah.
And then you have experiences that are eternal. So because the soul is eternal, naturally we should have the eternal experiences and not be confused by the impermanent experiences. Now, if you say that, well, but then I will miss out on this, it comes back to the same example. The father says, don't touch the fire. So you can follow his advice I never have the experience. And you might be always thinking, well, I just blindly follow the Father, but I never touch the fire. That would be kind of nice. So you can do it, but what is the purpose? So Krishna gives you choice, you know. You want to enjoy? Okay, go for it. Here's material world, you have a woman. For those who are gays, you can have a man, whatever you like, whatever you like. It's plenty of enjoyment. You want to do it, do it. But at the same time, he gives the Bhagavad Gita and he says, look, this is all Maya. Okay? And he gives you an option. Krishna never interferes with your free will. So if you're intelligent, you're gonna, at least, after so many lifetimes of trying to enjoy the same, we should, why don't we experiment the other way around? Why don't we have that sort of experience? Because this experience we had so many lifetimes. The same eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Now let us make an experiment. Let's have the Krishna-Conscious experience. Fair enough?
Yeah.
Okay. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi, Hari 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 Bol. Thank you for watching Hare Krishna Prabhu's Mataji's.